About 3 decades ago, Nigerian politics was thrown into chaos after what will today is being tagged as its freest fairest, and the military government annulled that most credible election. Chief MK Abiola was at the time the flag bearer of a party that would become practically extinct after that election. Nigeria's return to democracy brought a glimmer of hope, a political redirection, and new ambitions. In almost 30 years, political choices are still a problem in Nigeria. They call them dreamers and underdogs, and some even say they are pretenders. But these political candidates are not losing belief in their quest to become Nigeria's next president. The party, which had its victory annulled in 1993, is also on the plate in 2023, 30 years after that annulment. But these times are different. We'll also look at the ruling party and the chances of its candidate, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, his ability to unite Nigerians, the controversies surrounding his name, and what it means to his chances. Joining me live tonight is Kassim Afegbua. He's a supporter of Tinubu presidency. Good to see you, and thanks for your time.
It's a pleasure. Thank you very much.
I recall you first spoke to us some months ago. That was before the primaries of the People's Democratic Party. Then you were a member of the People's Democratic Party. You said at that point in time that should the ticket go to the north of Nigeria, you are going to leave and support whoever emerges from the APC. Now, before we get into the APC, let us in on what ultimately transpired, because this looks like the very first time we're meeting to discuss what happened in the PDP before you left.
Well, I made my position known very clearly, and this is based on my understanding of the political dynamics in the country, particularly a plural country like Nigeria, with so many sentiments playing out, so many logics and illogic. And so, for me, it's just natural that, given the role the Southern aspirants played in 2018, when they dropped their ambition to support Northern aspirants, I was expecting that in 2022, prior to 2023, they will show the same reciprocal dropping of ambition, to support Southern presidency. And for whatever it is worth, politics, has to accommodate people's interests. It has to be inclusive. It has to be participatory. And it has to ensure that this concept of marginalization or deliberate altering of the political process does not give room to all manners of protestations, agitations, and what have you. And so within the PDP, particularly a party that has a provision in its constitution with respect to zoning, I was expecting that a man like Alhaji Atiku Abubakar will support the younger Turks, so to speak, from the southern axis, and support one of their own to emerge as a candidate as a way of saying thank you to what they did to him in 2018. But it didn't happen. He threw his hat in the ring, and today he became a candidate. Of course, you know all the intricacies and the conspiracies that give birth to his aspiration in terms of the candidature. Somebody who is stepping down, the other not stepping down, and what have you. And so for me, in any political emanation, you must consciously and deliberately try as much as possible to balance the algorithms of power, particularly in a plural society like Nigeria, where about 400 ethnic stocks are competing for interest, where there are several agitations here and there, what are the southeast, southwest, the northern axis, and all of that. So what the APC governors did was not just refreshing to me, it further boosted my belief in the fact that this country can actually remain one indivisible entity if only people could go a little bit extra mile to know where to apply brakes in what they do. The governors of the APC rose up in the meeting and said after a Buhari presidency for 8 years, it's only natural, in order not to deepen the schism and the mistrust within the zones, northern and southern protectorate, it's only natural that they cede the power to the south.
And I had a conversation recently with Governor Abdullahi Sule of Nasarawa State, where he actually said that owing to what they got, having that collaboration, that unity from the South to helping Buhari achieve his aspiration, which he's been pursuing for, I think, more than 3 times until that
2014 arrangement.
He said it was only natural for the northern governors to support a southern candidacy. Now, before we come back again to the APC, you were supporting Nyesom Wike, the governor of Rivers State, in that particular, leading up to the primaries.
Yeah.
He's still very much there in the PDP, and he's amongst those you would ordinarily now call the aggrieved or the dissatisfied governors. Is that a win? Does that also translate into some kind of win or gain for the APC who you're supporting today?
Well, for Wike, it is true that I supported him with my whole heart. I don't beggar issues when it comes to issues like this. I'll state them at the way they are. Wike, to me, will have been the best bet for a PDP presidency, because you need an uncommon man, to be able to contend with an uncommon situation that we found ourselves. Some people said, oh, it's too loud, it's too this, it's too that. But the man is performing and is delivering on his electoral promises to the people of Rivers State. That is very critical, because politics is all about delivering the essentials to the people. If you promise you want to do A, when you get to office, please do A, so that people can hold you accountable on the basis of your promise. Now, Wike tried his best in the contest, of course, but for obvious conspiracy, Wike was going to clinch that ticket. And that was where you saw interplay of forces and where friendship suddenly became,
So let me take it back. Yeah. How do you mean conspiracies?
When I say conspiracies, I know what I'm talking about, because you would want to conclude naturally that a Tambua, the governor of Sokoto State, who was very close to Wike, who have been friends since their law school days, should naturally choosing friendship over ethnicity. But he chose ethnicity over friendship.
Was that what happened?
Yes, he stepped down for Atiku Abubakar. Don't forget that in 2018, Governor Wike shouldered the responsibility of championing the aspiration of Tambua. We had to move the convention to Port Harcourt. He provided a lot of logistics. These are open secrets. And so in 2022, the expectation will be that a Tambua will support a Wike, no matter what. You see, my kind of politics, and why oftentimes you see me quarreling with the process, is that I like people to show some level of gratitude when scenarios present themselves, no matter the pressure. Because for some of us who are insiders in the entire power equation and the power dynamics of the PDP before now, we knew what transpired. And so if an Atiku Abubakar, for example, who left the PDP, joined the APC to contest presidency in 2014, the primaries, came third, Kwankwaso coming second, and Buhari coming first in the Lagos convention. Even Atiku Abubakar, who ran down the PDP, abused PDP and called PDP all manners of names, say that they are beyond redemption and all of that. If along the line he decided to leave the APC as a party, where he donated money, donated men and women. Don't forget that Garba Shehu was long-standing spokesman of Atiku Abubakar. He's now serving in this government as part of that. I was expecting that for that level of leadership, where you now have contradiction, it takes away so much from his leadership orientation, his leadership responsibility, and even the capacity of people to believe whatever comes out of him. Because he had run down PDP so manifestly in 2014, 2015. And now because he couldn't get it, he left the APC and came back to the same PDP. It's like swallowing your vomit. But even at that, for the organic nature of PDP, they allowed him opportunity to contest. And as soon as he finished the contest, he ran away to Dubai, abandoning the party in the cold. And only for him to reappear just barely a year ago and say that he wants to be candidate of the PDP. And before you say Jack Robinson, reloading all the process, EHRU promising that he will step down if another aspirant emerge, a candidate emerge. EHRU going to meet Afegbua in the house and saying he was the hero of the convention and all of that. Once the party chairman, who should be an unbiased umpire in the entire process, becomes so partisanly involved, that it becomes a problem in terms of the credibility of the process that produced the candidates. So these are part of the conspiracy I'm talking. It's like I'm twisting. The zoning issue, they knew they were not going to honor the constitutional provision of the party. They said they set up a committee on zoning. Before the committee even concluded the sitting and came up with a report, they started selling form. They started selling form for everybody. Then I said, okay, whatever the report you are bringing out, forms are already out there, so we can't stop anybody from contesting. They meet the constitutional requirements, so no problem. But it was the same issue of zoning that made Atiku to lead PDP ab initio in 2013.
So it comes back to why you're here today, supporting Bola Tinubu. You also said that what Nigerians need at that point in time is to have someone with that uncommon trait for an uncommon situation. And you said at that point in time it would have been Wike. Is Bola Tinubu someone with an uncommon trait for Nigeria?
Very well so. Don't forget that my supporting Tinubu is born out of the fact that I want to honor my words. Because when I'm fighting battles, I don't fight blindly. I fight with logic and reasoning. I'm not going to be an Ayochayu who promised to step down voluntarily if a northern candidate emerges. And now they say he should step down. He's behaving like the king, the death of the king and the horseman. You know, they say the king and the horseman. There's a book like that where someone is supposed to die when a king dies. But this time the king died, they say, please come and honor that particular traditional role. He started asking for a virgin, that he needs to marry a virgin. He needs to marry this, he needs to marry that. So you see, Ayu has been struggling, clutching at flotsam to remain afloat in a ship that is sinking. So it's going to be a problem for him in terms of problem of credibility, problem of not even, according himself that recognition that he's a man of his words. So I wouldn't want to behave like that. I told people publicly on national television that if XYZ happened, XYZ will take place. And I have just done that. I left. I have not joined the APC as a member. I only formally resigned from the PDP, but I'm a staunch supporter of Tinubu presidency because for me, in the present situation we find ourselves, I found him a better candidate than every other person. And I said it with all due sense of responsibility. I have my own inalienable right to own an opinion on an issue based on my dissonance and based on my understanding of the dynamics of politics in the country. I have played it for 26 good years. I'm not an outsider in politics, I'm an insider, so to speak. And so, a Tinubu who I would rather call hero of our Nigerian democracy should naturally be accorded the recognition to even become president. This is the first time we'll be contesting, number one. Number two, he was in the forefront fighting the military, to go back to the barracks and allow civilian democracy to prevail. And since then, he went on exile, fought battles there, came back, and he became governor of Lagos. And his record of performance in Lagos as a governor are testimonials that have become so enduring. And the line of succession of political power in Lagos has been so organic that everyone who comes, you see some level of performance. Fashola performed. Ambode performed. Sanwo-Olu is performing. You can't take it away when you drive around Lagos and see some kind of roads that have been, paved with interlocking tires and all that. Even the one leading to your office here, I was impressed. You see, once you have such kind of succession, and for a man who governed Lagos at a time that it was most trying for him, and he was still able to achieve. Don't forget that his allocation to Lagos was seized. He improved the IGR from millions to billions.
And in all of these, people will say that's in the past. That presently, the Tinubu of the glory days you speak of is not the same Tinubu.
I don't know what you mean. How? Tinubu is still, he hasn't changed his name, number one. Number two, his person is still there. Number three, he's come out with manifesto. Number four, I've had interaction with him. I've engaged him on a number of issues. I see a man with a presence of mind. I see a man with ideas. In fact, when he had one or two interactions in a town hall format, I was impressed with the kind of...
now you use the word. Yes. You qualified that. You said presence of mind. And it will come quickly. Nigerians are talking about the series of gaffes that they've noticed lately in his, speech utterances at rallies, and it worries, supporters and Nigerians alike, to the extent that your former party, the PDP, is already saying that, hey, you're providing content for skit makers, and truly, at the moment, skits are.
You see,
I
think we should take these issues beyond the pedestrian, which the PDP represents in this whole discourse, and get serious with issues of governance and leadership. If a younger mind in the PDP could make gaffes, then if an older person in APC is making gaffes and you're making an issue out of it, how do you reconcile the two? In public speaking, making gaffes are not foolproof that, oh, something's wrong with your mental acumen. At my level, I make gaffes. Dino Melaye in Borno shouted that they should vote for APC in the public rally. And so, for me, those are not issues. The contemporary issues that stare us in the face is how to deepen our democracy, how to deepen our economic interventionist programs and policies, how to remain afloat in the face of global threats. You're
not far from that, Kassim. You're not far from that. But again, we're discussing 200 million Nigerians. And there are those who would agree with you and say, these are the issues we want to discuss, that we should be discussing. And there are some who still think that, look, that is to you, but these are of concern to us. So we must also at least address every concern every segment of our national life.
You see, among the contenders, I have told you, I would go for a Tinubu for the reasons I've identified earlier. You can have 100% credentials that fits into every consideration in just one individual. What an individual leader does is to be a team player, setting up a cabinet with men and women who have the capacity to engage, interact, and also discharge responsibilities that will be vested in their ministries and other portfolios. What the leader does is to coordinate. And if you want to reconcile Tinubu with the realities of the present, you would agree with me that one, at present we need an interactive president. He is interactive. We need a man who is engaging. He is engaging. We need a leader who can dialogue to drive the elite consensus that we desperately need to be able to have unanimity of purpose in terms of ideas and policies that will be able to advance the collective aspiration and destiny of the country. Tinubu has that. So for me, if you look at all the broken tongues and tribes in the country at present, you need a rallying point. Tinubu is one person who can call a meeting of critical stakeholders across the 6 geopolitical zones, and there will be a listening ear for him. Because even at present, he's been very strategic in the way and manner he dispenses with his campaign. He's been doing town hall meetings.
Yes, and if you say talking about being interactive, talking about interactions, and isn't that why some segment of the media, have been calling, on him to at least have that kind of conversation, perhaps like a town hall meeting, which they say, well, it hasn't been forthcoming from your candidate.
I found that very laughable. You know why? Laughable in the sense that a media concern cannot ram down the throat of a candidate its own policy, its own programs as part of the conversation to deepen their own media platform. What you need to do as a media platform in order for you to earn the respect is for you to rub minds with the candidates and ask. You don't just come out with a program, we're going to do debate of candidates and all that. Without interacting, this is what differentiates us from the Western world. I've had good opportunity of attending a lot of programs from the USAID in terms of democracy, International Republican Institute, National Democratic Institute, and all of these programs in the course of this our democracy. They will write to you first to tell you, we are trying to look at this. What are your suggestions? They will want to have your buy-in into such programs so that when they are doing it, your intention will not be mistaken for a deliberate attempt.
And hasn't that been happening?
No, that has not been done. If you read the statement of the Tinubu campaign, which I read, they stated clearly that Tinubu has got his own programs lined out for him, and that by the time that a particular news station, Arise Television, so to speak, by the time they are extending their invitation or trying to want Tinubu to appear at all costs, it was defeating the Tinubu's program that has already been outlined. That there was no robust engagement between the Arise TV station and the Tinubu campaign, and they've not had that kind of interaction. And just extending invitation to a candidate, and you want the person to appear, will seem quite an unfair approach to the entire process. And so for me, that I bought hook, line, and sinker into that kind of argument. I have a media platform, for example. I want to get at Sulaiman because he's a candidate and all of that. I will first of all meet with Sulaiman. Sulaiman, we are trying to organize a debate and all of that. What are your impressions? I will meet the other person. I will meet the other person. If I'm able to get 10 out of the 18 candidates, who are buying to me, before I begin to segment who and who will appear at some point. But where it appears so obvious that you are becoming adversarial, even in the way and manner you engage with issues that are so petty, that are not that one cannot be detained with. I will read ulterior motives to your intentions, no matter how altruistic it may seem in the public.
Ulterior motive?
Yes, there are ulterior motives in this whole process. I can read it between the lines. When an anchor of programs become almost like a judge in a case.
Ulterior motive by the media?
Of course, by media. By the media. It's been on and on. When I watch a program, I listen to questions you ask, I listen to even your body chemistry, I listen to your language and all of that. Yeah, if you're not making it as if you want to ram it down his throat that he must appear on your town hall program, you're missing the point completely. Because at any rate, you see, if you look at the Nigerian history from 1999 to date, we are the media, isn't it? We have not produced a president. Even we have not produced a governor. That's the truth. We can criticize from now till tomorrow. People still go to villages to campaign. Maybe where they are campaigning, maybe they don't even read your newspaper. Maybe they don't even have electricity to even watch your program. But we must fulfill all righteousness by giving everybody a sense of belonging in the country. With 200 million people, like you said earlier. The point I'm trying to make is that the media must know where to gauge its own influence, where to apply brakes when it comes to issues as this. Nobody is saying that the media should not interrogate candidates that are planning to preside over 200 million people. You can interrogate them without appearing adversarial, without appearing as if, oh, okay, if we must interrogate you, no. There are ways to do this. Meanwhile, I give a typical example. You run adversarial, but the same persons will still bring live coverage for you. You will still air the live coverage. You collect money. That is like a chichidodo kind of arrangement. The chichidodo bird likes maggot, but hates the smell of feces. What produces maggot? Of course, excreta. So, we should not be seen to be wearing two-face or cloaking ourselves in a manner that will seem that, oh, okay, we can dictate your fate and your fortune. If it is written that the God Almighty will make Tinubu president in 2023, no amount of negative media can stop him.
Let's take a moment. We'll come back. Well, by the way, that was a good one. That was Aikwe Ama.
Yes.
African also.
Yeah, the beautiful ones are not yet born.
Talking about
Chichidodo bird.
All right, we'll come back. When we come back, I will be speaking more about the man Kassim Afegbua is supporting, the APC candidate. And of course, I'll go back in time. Perhaps it looks like what we're discussing is deja vu, as Kassim may have had the same walk in the past. That's when we return.
News Central TV, Africa's #1 storyteller, has come with the best of both worlds. With a combination of news app and live TV, we ensure that you keep track of the latest headlines, breaking news, and in-depth analysis from professional journalists from around the continent. Download the News Central TV app on Android and iOS and get started today. Don't forget to follow us on News Central's social media platforms. News Central, Africa First.
Well, if you just joined us, you're welcome. You're watching Politics HQ, broadcasting live to 54 African countries and beyond. And my guest is Kassim Afegbua, supporter of the Tinubu presidency. Well, we questioned home, and some of the key things, some of the arguments against the presidency or the aspiration of Bola Tinubu has to do with the Muslim ticket. And one of the friends of the candidate, or I don't know if they're still friends, you should also help us. I'm talking about the former Secretary to the Government of Federation of Nigeria, Babachir Lawal, has been a big, antagonist to that ticket. He thinks that in the Nigeria of today, having candidates, of same, religion doesn't help for some kind of inclusive development and governance.
Well, I don't know what informed Babachir Lawal's position. Of course, I'm aware that he lobbied to become a running mate to Tinubu, perhaps because he didn't get it, so the anger is understandable. But again, you see, once people get detained by the sentiments of religion on same-faith ticket, then they will be missing the entire essence of politics. Politics and religion, they are two, fundamental platforms. While religion talks about Armageddon and salvation, politics talks about what obtains here on earth. Religion talks about your relationship with God and what will dictate your conduct here on earth, such that when you die, in our belief system, God will be kind to you to accept you into paradise. That's the whole essence of religion. Whereas politics talks about what you can do to make life livable for those who are living. So one is talking about death and your place in the hereafter. Another is talking about life and your place right here in terms of delivering the deliverables and ensuring that there is platforms and conducive environment for people to pursue their legitimate aspirations. Government is to render services, create enabling environment for people to pursue their businesses and all of that. So I don't know how you reconcile the two, because if you see certain things that are done in politics, some of them are un-Christian and some of them are un-Islamic. Because when people stab you at the back, that's un-Christian. That's un-Islamic. People should, but in politics, people stab you at the back and they clap for them. People you have done good to before, they show ingratitude so manifestly. But But the Christian faith preaches that they'll slap you one place, they say if you turn the other. How many people are ready to turn the other cheek when they have been slapped today? So if Babachila were to be a good Christian, and he got disappointed in the fact that he couldn't get a running mate to Tinubu, I have said it, that a man as arrogant as him cannot be taken by any sane candidate.
You think his points are,
as a running mate?
His points.
What are his points? When he had opportunity
that's not arrogance.
No.
Is
Listen,
that?
When he had opportunity as an SGF to support a James Faleke in the Kogi election that when Abubakar Audu died, what role did he play? Some of us know the role he played. Is James Faleke not a Christian? Did you not see curious legal outcome that a man who is a running mate to a governor that died cannot reap the votes, but somebody else who did not contest the election became? What are we talking about? So all this why that is been APC, how many votes has he delivered to the APC? People just show some unnecessary arrogance, unnecessary showmanship, power play, as if they want to play God in the life of men. No! A Babachila cannot play God in the life of who becomes president of Nigeria in 2023.
What is it that people don't understand about politicians, especially when they have opposition within? First, we started by looking at the PDP.
Yeah.
You have the G5 governors who are against the emergence of Atiku Abubakar, and now you also have someone like Babashir Lawal and a few others saying that no, we're not with you in the APC. And in politics, they say you need every support.
The good, the bad, and the ugly.
You don't actually deduct. You always add up.
No, but you can take a camel to the stream. You can't force a camel to drink water.
Has this camel been taken to the stream?
No, of course. Did he not continuously say that Tinubu is his friend? That means there's a relationship. Should you expose your friend, if you are a true Christian, should you expose your friend so much in the public in that way, as a true Christian? Is that what the Holy Bible preaches? No. You should be able to sit down in the cocoon with your friend and tell him to his face what he has done and why certain things have to be done and all that, and find a way to always strike at the middle solution. You say this idea of people conveniently taking one point on their head, and just because certain things happen and they want to play God, cannot for me enjoy my endorsement or commendation. No, I won't commend the Babachilawa. He says I'm inconsequential, I'm irrelevant, and I'm okay. I like to be so underrated. I like to be so described. When I started fighting secondary, they called me inconsequential until the thing consumed them. So, are they not having issues within the Babachilawa camp, himself and Dogara?
How much of a fighter is Kassim Afegbua? Because I spoke about deja vu, and I recall then you served as Commissioner for Information under Adams Oshiomhole in Edo State.
Yeah.
And at that point in time, that was the last run of Adams Oshiomhole while he was leaving office. And you said categorically, you were live on television, and you said you were not going to support your governor, Adams Oshiomole's choice of Godwin Obaseki.
Yeah.
And I think you were supporting Otubu.
I was supporting Ogemoyi. Chris Ogemoyi.
Chris Ogemoyi, yes.
My predictions have come to pass.
How do you mean your predictions have come to pass?
Because I saw through a Governor Obaseki as someone who would, not recognize those persons and factors that contributed to his emergence as governor. Of course, you need to go out to voters in Edo State to get your votes in line with the requirement of law. But you need men and women to stay in places where you are not available. You alone cannot man the entire 192 wards in Edo State. So you need people. You can't man all the polling units in Edo State. You need people. So those who play those fundamental roles of being safeguard of your votes at the polling units and all of that, the collation centers, you cannot turn around and want to crucify them for supporting you. It will show the bad character in you. When he was leaving the APC, he knew that he was going to contest second term. He started a fight in APC. The fight consumed him. He left. When he was coming to PDP, I stood my ground that I will not support him again. And I cautioned them that they seem not to know who Godwin Obaseki was. If he had displayed that kind of attitude in APC, knowing full well that he was going to seek a second term, if he comes to PDP...
You both served, sorry to cut you, you both served under Oshomole. And,
of course.
And the governor at that point in time said Godwin Obaseki was a fantastic,
well, leaders' assessment of persons are not the same, or it's not the same with the followers' assessment of persons. We see better than leaders when they're in position. Because oftentimes leaders, when you see the way they behave at times, or even take decisions, you want to believe that maybe they are being under a particular spell. And so, I am not one person who, I don't do eye service. No. I will respect you as a leader, but that respect must be earned. I was a foundation member of APC, of course. I left in protest in 2017. That the things that were captured in APC manifesto were not being followed. When somebody protested about it, he complained about it, but that was my position. Because I'm not tied to the apron string of anyone. I am Kassim Afegbua, and I'm entitled to one vote. If in the course of this process that other persons are ready to support me to vote for my choice candidate, so be it. In 2020, I came out openly that I was not going to support Obaseki, even though I was a PDP member. My predictions again came to pass because barely had Obaseki been sworn in second term, the first casualties were those who went around with him in the entire 192 wards in campaigning, led by Dan Obi, the national vice chairman of the party for South-South Zone, and 10 others, making 11 of them. They had to go to court to quash that suspension. And you almost like asking yourself, for God's sake, what is this whole essence of politics? You mean you cannot appreciate someone who campaigned around with you and all of that at no cost to you? They burn their man hours and everything, and all you need to tell them thank you was just for you to suspend them because they are now allowing you a grip of the structure of the party. Till date, the issue is still on. A court has just given judgment today, Court 5 in Abuja, giving Dan Obi's legacy group, PDP, that they were the one who produced the authentic candidates for the elections in 2023. House of Reps, House of Assembly, and Senate.
So what does that now mean to the leader of the PDP in Edo State?
Which leader? Which leader? You see, leaders are leaders listen.
Of their parties.
You see, there's nothing like leader in PDP constitution. There's nothing. They just arrogate it to themselves. But again, if you want to really lead, you must earn the respect of those who are preparing to lead. You can't come with people from APC, for example, you want to ram them down the throat of old PDP members who were existing as members of PDP that made you to find the party attractive ab initio. When Obaseki was leaving APC, why didn't he join Labour Party to contest his governorship? Why didn't he join SDP? Why didn't he join AA? When they were all ready to accept him, why did he come to PDP? It's because he realized that PDP is a strong party in Edo. Before his emergence, before he came, they had 4 House of Rep members. They have 2 senators. Out of 3, they have 2. House of Rep members, 4 out of 9. That means PDP is strong. PDP won 2015 PDP presidential election in Edo, 2015, when Oshomole was even governor. You get the point? In 2019, PDP still defeated APC in Edo. Presidential election result. That means the party is strong in Edo State.
And to whose credit? Dan Obi?
Yes, Dan Obi, yes. He was chairman, then later vice chairman. So if such a party that is so strong has given a platform for an Obaseki to contest, it should naturally show respect. That is how to be Christian.
So what's happening now in Nigeria? Is it a kind of politics, for instance, or being vindictive? I'll give you a scenario. We saw Nyesom Wike in Lagos State endorsing the governor of Lagos State, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, even though his party, the PDP, has a candidate. We've also seen you then, in times past, being a member of
PDP,
of the PDP,
supported APC,
supporting APC.
Yeah.
So what brand of politics do we call that?
No. It's everywhere. There are Democrats who support Republicans when it comes to governorship and even presidential elections in the U.S. They are there. They voice out because the sentiments that appeal to you in a governorship election and presidential are different from the pecuniary and local rural politics. The governorship of Lagos State, governorship candidate of Lagos State, may not have considered Wike worthwhile to approach in terms of somebody who can deepen the fortunes of his aspiration. So someone else elsewhere recognizes that Wike is formidable and has something to contribute to his aspiration. Reached out to Wike, and Wike came to commission projects. And in the process, gave them endorsement. You see, what Wike is doing, Wike is not fighting Atiku's aspiration. Wike is asking for justice, fairness, and equity, which also should lead to inclusive politics. If you talk about candidate North, chairman North, DJ of campaign North, director of operations campaign North, Haba. What are we talking about?
And as
so if they are taking decisions, who speak on behalf of the South in such arrangement? Bearing in mind,
but the governor of Delta State, the governor of Delta State,
bearing in mind,
the running mate.
Yes, no problem. But bearing in mind that PDP is stronger in the South than in the North. PDP governors in the North are just 5. In the South, we have 9 to make up 14. So it's not Tea Party. And for you to not to have 5 governors supporting your aspiration as a PDP candidate, and you are still thinking that you are going to make an inroad in the 2023 elections, it's going to be a tall dream.
What are the chances of Bola Tinubu in this election?
Well, he's the man to beat. From all demographics, don't forget that there are people on ground who are carrying out different researches here and there. He's the man to beat. First, the APC has 22 governors. Or 23 itself. Those are platforms to lobby for votes, to woo voters. That's one. 2, the party has candidates in every position. House of Assembly, House of Reps, Senate. Unlike Labour Party, that has a popular presidential candidate, but hardly have the number of persons to contest for all those other positions, Tinubu has an edge. So for me, I tell people, I say, well, you may be shouting that when they say no structure, the youth will come out and say we are the structure. No. You see, when Obi is not in one state, those who are contesting election under the party will naturally be the ones that will be canvassing for votes for themselves and for their presidential candidate. If in the 44 local governments of Kano State, the Labour Party doesn't have candidates in those positions, House of Assembly, if Obi is not there, who campaigns? Didn't you see recently that Tinubu was in Lagos here? There was a simultaneous campaign going on in Kano. There's another one going on in Jigawa. Because there are people on ground. The governors are there, House of Assembly candidates are there, House of Rep candidates are there, the senatorial candidates are there.
But some analysts have said the whole talk about structures now, because that's what you're highlighting.
Yeah.
Well, it won't count in this election.
It won't count? Okay. We are waiting. We saw it in Osun election. Peter Obi went there to campaign for their governorship candidates. He didn't score 10,000 votes. We saw it in the Ekiti election. He went there to campaign. He didn't score 10,000 votes. So what will you say in the election? You need people to be on ground that will be campaigning for themselves for elections, for elective positions, and also campaigning for their presidential candidate. Because they will carry the poster, the picture of the candidate on the poster. They will reflect their own. Then they will reflect the governor.
But again, Nigerians, times was when money was the in thing for politics in the country, and many are saying that the OB factor is changing the dynamics of politics. At the moment,
it's not changing any dynamics.
You haven't actually started seeing a lot of big spendings.
No. It's not changing any dynamics, please. We see Obi flying around with a private jet. It doesn't cost. It's not money. To hire private jets to visit places is not a tea party. That's one. Two, we have seen them wearing different uniforms and everything, clothing. All of this costs a lot in terms of logistics.
And they are being done by people voluntarily. That's
what I'm trying to tell you. The bottom line is that you can say that Obi is not spending from his purse. He's doing crowdfunding. That's okay. But money is being spent. There is no politics in the entire wide world where money is not being spent. There is none. If you have one, show me. You must spend money for mobility, for logistics, for reaching out, for wooing people, for printing mementos, for printing posters and all of that. So it now depends on who is funding, where is the money coming from. That's the truth. But as far as I'm concerned, in 2023, I can't see anyone defeating Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Even in terms of policy and programs, in terms of manifesto, if you read the manifesto, you see the richness of it, the content. You know that he has put together persons who understand the issues now and who can speak to how to get us out of it. I've sat very closely with Bola Ahmed Tinubu, interacting with people, and churning out solid ideas. Listen to the way he speaks, man, for God's sake. You can't tell me that kind of a man does not have the capacity to, to preside over this country.
Let's close on this. Is the country likely to see him, have his own town hall meeting? If he's not going to have a town hall meeting with any media, or into what you have, people want to hear him speak.
No.
Because you've had a one-on-one relationship with him. That's a chance. That's a rare one. But the other Nigerians want to have that same chance.
Sulaiman, please. I think don't behave like the ordinary person out there who cannot discriminate between realities and fiction.
Because I'm an ordinary Nigerian.
I know, yes, I know. You see, the point is, Tinubu has done more town halls than anybody. He was in Mina. He spoke to crop growers and farmers. He was in Lafia. He spoke to miners. He was in Baramatu Kingdom, the first in the history of political campaigns in this country. He spoke to stakeholders of the Niger Delta region, the headquarters of the Ijaw Nation. He was in Kano to speak to businessmen. He was in Lagos, your Lagos here, to speak to the organized private sector, where he unveiled his Renew Hope manifesto. How much of town hall meetings do you want with a man who is going around the country? Town hall meetings afford you the opportunity to even interrogate issues in a more holistic manner than rallies. Because in rallies, you just speak for 2-3 minutes, you are gone. But in town hall meetings, like the one in Mina, the man spent 4 good hours hearing from people and also speaking and answering their questions. In Lagos here, the same thing he did. So, and he allowed people to ask questions. And he was giving responses and also called on his vice presidential candidate to also give responses so that, because he's a team player. So, you see, the point is, if people have certain platforms have ulterior motive and think that they want to railroad Tinubu to come and gloss their platform with appearance and all of that, they will be making a mistake.
Quickly, how soon are we likely to see Kassim coming to the APC as a full-fledged member?
Not soon. I just want to. I'm taking my rest. It is not likely that I will join the party. It depends on the scenarios. Because head or tail, I have interest to contest for governorship of Edo State in 2024. I don't know the platform I will use, but I definitely will test my popularity.
And you said that here first.
Yes, this is the first place I'm making it public. Even though I've been consulting people.
Many thanks for speaking with us.
It's a pleasure.
Well, before we wrap up, we had earlier advertised to also have the SDP presidential candidate on the show, Adewale Adebayo, and he's unable to meet up with his appointment. I will hope to have him pretty much later on Politics HQ. So wrap on the show. I'd like to thank you for being such nice company. I'm Sulaiman. Bye-bye.